So let's start off with a new project. We're going to create a sprite called SBR item. This is going to be all the items in our item database. The item ID correlates to their sub image. So the first item I've drawn is a pickaxe and the second one a spade. We also want to create a sprite for the item frame, which is going to be the background for our inventory. I'm just going to use the button eyes effect. And also a sprite for the outline, for when you're hovering over the item in the item inventory. It's just a simple black box. So let's create our obj inventory. In the first piece of code, we want to establish all the variables we will need. So the first variable is to show it, and then the coordinates is, I don't know, 256. The size of the inventory, its width is going to be 10 wide, and its height is going to be 4 down. This calculates to a size of inventory width times inventory height. In our inventory database, we're going to use a grid to find the item ID in that position, its amount, and its HP. We're going to use the item ID from my inventory to find out the information we need through the item database. First thing we want to do is enumerate some naming conventions for our database, which is going to be the enum of inventory. We're going to use its item ID, its amount, and its HP. Now we're going to create our inventory database, which is inventory is equal to ds_grid_create, the number of positions in our inventory, which is inventory size, and the number of attributes, which is just 3. Now we're going to create a for loop with a temporary variable I to iterate between every position that is less than the size of the inventory and I plus equals 1. We're going to set each position in the grid to be default. So inventory in all positions I, its first attribute item ID, which is called by inv.itemID, is equal to -1. -1 is going to be nothing. And for every position, let's do an amount of 0 and a HP of 1. We also want the item size to be equal to 32. And we also want inv item hover to outline the position that we're hovering over. We also want inv item held to know what item's being held by the player. Now that we've created our inventory, let's do an item database. So we go enum item, and the item information we're going to have is just simply name, whether it can be stacked with other items, and how much it's able to stack by. And the item database is going to be called item data is equal to ds_grid_create, the number of items that exist, which at the moment is only 2, but I'm expecting to add more. So let's go 20 items, and the amount of attributes, which is only 3 attributes. Let's fill all of these with temporary values. So var I is equal to 0, I is less than supposedly 20 items, I plus equals 1. For the item data grid of all positions, its name is going to be equal to null, and it's only ever going to be able to stack up to 1. And it's not allowed to stack. Now we want to individually go to all of our items and establish them. So the first item is a shovel. So item data for a shovel, which is a 0 position, it's going to have a name of shovel. And the pickaxe is item ID 1. So for the 1 item ID, which name is going to be pickaxe. So now we've created an inventory database and a item database. Under the step event, we're going to be doing all the manipulations to the inventory. So if the inventory has been shown, and if the point in rectangle for the mouse position is inside the inventory, with the inventory boundaries being inventory X and inventory X plus inventory width times the item size, and inventory Y plus inventory height times item size. So the mouse is inside the inventory. Now we want to iterate for all the items. So for inv position equals 0. Inv position is less than the bounds of the inventory size. Now we're iterating between every position of the inventory. Let's find out where this position is indicative of how it's drawn. So the var inv position x is equal to inventory x plus the mod of inv position mod inventory width times item size. We're using mod for the inventory width because we want the inventory position to become greater and move horizontally, and when it gets to the end it starts from the beginning again. But the difference is for the Y positioning is that we want the inv position to be using the div function so that as it becomes further down it's increasing in 1 increments. We actually want these both to be width, so we know when to go down a level because we completed a whole row. Now you want to check to see if the point in rectangle for our mouse position is in the new inventory positions of in position X and in position Y, and those plus the item size take 1 so you're never overlapping. If the mouse is in this position of inv item hover is equal to the inv position. Otherwise, if the mouse isn't inside the inventory, then we want the outline to disappear. So inv item hover is equal to -1. So let's draw this. So if we're showing the inventory, under the draw event, we want to draw all the item frames in the background. So we go for temporary variable of inventory position, which is less than the inventory size. Then we want it to draw to those positions. So var inv position x is equal to inventory x plus the inv position mod inventory width times item size, and var inv position y is equal to inventory y inv position div inventory height times item size. And we want to draw the sprite for the background. So draw sprite, the SBR item frame at the position of inv position x and inv position y. We also want to draw the outline. So if inv item hover is equal to the inventory position, then draw the sprite for the outline, which is SVR item outline in the same position. So let's add a room with the obj inventory in the top left corner. As you can see, for the width and height of our inventory, there is a grid-like fashion. For the item that we're hovering over, there is an outline. We have yet to make it so that those items appear and we can click on them. So for the position that we're hovering over, if the mouse check button press the left button in that inventory position, if the item that we're holding, so inv item held, is empty, then we want to pick up the item. But first, to find out if the item is pick upable, we want to check if it exists. So inv item is equal to the inventory of that item position with the inv.item ID. If the inv item doesn't equal -1, so there is an item there, then the inv item held is equal to the inventory position. Otherwise, since it's holding onto an item, if the inv item held is the same as the inventory position, then we just want to drop the item. Under the draw event, we want to separate this from our background. So for the foreground, let's iterate through all the items again, but we want to draw the sprite for that position. So we go to the var inv item is equal to the inventory position item ID. If the inventory position isn't empty, then draw the sprite for that position. SPR item, the item ID, which is inv item, and the inv position X and inv position Y. So let's check to see if it's the one we're holding. If the inv item held is equal to the inventory position, then we want to draw it at our mouse position. So with the item ID at our mouse coordinate, take half the item size so it's in the center of the both mouse X and Y coordinates. Otherwise, just draw it in the inventory. We also want to draw a shadow of the item that we're holding. So we use the EXD to make it black and transparent. So the X and Y scales are 1 with no rotation, with a C black image blend and an alpha of half. So it's drawing all the sprites at their positions, but if it's the one we're holding, then it appears in our hand and has a shadow of its former self in that position. We also want to establish the amount of the item. So inv item amount is equal to inventory, the inv position, inv.amount, and so in the mouse position, if the item amount is greater than 1, then draw a piece of text at the mouse coordinate, which is draw text mouse X, mouse Y, inventory item amount. And we want to do this the same for a normal inventory, but at the inventory positions of inv position X and inv position Y. Under our create event inventory, we want to add a couple of items. So for the first position, inventory 0, I want to add an item, which is just the first item, shovel. So as you can see, there is a shadow of the item that I've picked up and it's held in my hand. Now we got to say that once we click on an empty position, we can move it there. So under our step event, if we do have a held item, then let's check if the item position is empty. So if inv item is equal to -1, so let's move the item from our held inventory position to the new inventory position. So we go inventory with the inventory position with its item ID to be equal to the inventory of the previous position inv item held item ID. Let's copy this for the other two attributes, which is amount and HP. We also want to revert the previous position to default values. So we go, just copy these, which is the inventory item held position is equal to the default values of -1, 0, and 1. We also want to drop that. We also want to drop the item we're holding. So inv item held is equal to -1. Now we want to check by using the else statement if it's not the same position that it was from before, and if it's not an empty position, then otherwise it has to be clicking on another item and you're holding onto an item. So let's have them swap. But first let's check if they stack. Create a temporary variable to say should we swap them. Var item swap equals 0. So if we should be swapping the items, then it's near the same piece of code as this one, but we're going to have to implement a third variable for them to swap over with each other. Let's create a temporary variable that remembers the item in the new position that we're clicking on. So var item ID temp is equal to the inventory position of the inv pos inv item ID. You want to do this for the other two attributes using temporary variables. To the item amount temp variable and item HP temp. Now we're using a third value, we can directly swap the other two. So we've done this before, so I copied the code I've already created, and it's using the inventory grid, and the new position that we clicked on is going to be equal to the item that it came from, and the item that it came from is going to be swapped with the new item we've clicked on. So we can copy the end pieces of the previous position to be equal to the temporary variables of item ID temp and item amount temp and item HP temp. And we also want to drop the item that we're holding. So inv item held is equal to -1. We can actually say that the items do not swap. Well, first we're going to check if the items are the same. If they are the same, then we're going to look into the item database to find if they have a value of being able to stack, and otherwise use the item swap equals 1. So to check if they're the same, we go the inv item held ID is equal to inventory of the held position. So we go if the item ID inv item of the newly clicked position is equal to the old position of inv item held ID, so they are both the same item, then check the data information for that item ID to see if it can stack. So if item data for that item ID is stackable, then do this. Otherwise, item swap is equal to 1. And if they're not the same item, then item swap is equal to 1. Under my inventory, I'm going to put in the second position an item ID of our pickaxe. Since both the items are not the same, they should swap. So they swap in their positions. Cool. But what if they were the same and they were able to stack? Then let's add them to each other. So what I'm going to do, in an additional 2 positions, I'm going to add different quantities of rocks. So under the third position, I'm going to add a rock, which is the third item ID. And this is going to have an amount of 20. And I'm going to copy and paste this for the fourth item position. It's going to have another amount of 25. I'm just checking my item database. Oh, I haven't actually created a rock yet. So let's, under our SBR item, add a new item, which is a rock. And for our item data, the third item is the item name of rock, and this item is able to stack with a limit of 99. Actually, let's make this 40, and it is able to stack. So under our step event for the stack items, we want to add these together. So let's add the quantities and see if it's less than the stack. So the first quantity is the item in the new position. So var inv item amount is equal to inventory, the inv position, and inv dot amount, and the held item amount is equal to inventory inv item held inv amount. And if we add these both together, come to be less than the amount that they can stack to, which is item data, the item stack, then let's just add them together. So the old position gets added to the stack of the new position, and then the old position is wiped and the item held is dropped. So we go in the new position plus equals the old position. And the old position is removed. So we've got that here. So the inventory of the item held position is emptied, and the item held is dropped. Otherwise, when they add together, they actually become greater than the amount that they can stack to. So we go inventory of the new position is equal to the amount that they can stack to. So instead of doing that, let's create a maximum value. So inv item amount max is equal to this, and inv item amount max. So if it's less than the maximum amount of items it can stack to, then just add them and empty the old location. Otherwise, let's have it equal to the item amount max and the previous position of the inv item held inv amount. So we're going to use the minus equals, so it's equal to itself minus the difference between what it took to add up to maximum. So inv item amount max subtract inv item amount, and this is still going to be held. We also want to check to see if the position that it's trying to add to is already at its maximum, then just have them swap. So if the inv item amount is equal to the inv item amount max, then otherwise do the rest of the story. So if they're already equal to maximum, then item swap is equal to 1. So now that this is a maximum value, they should swap. Cool. So let's implement a script. This is going to be called script item add. And the arguments fed are going to be script item add. The first argument is the item ID, its amount, and its HP. So the new item we're going to be putting into the inventory is going to find the nearest emptiest location, or an item that it can stack with, and then proceed to find another empty location or another stack and contain its remainder. So we go with obj inventory. The temporary variables are var item ID is equal to argument 0, amount is equal to argument 1, and HP is equal to argument 2. So let's iterate through every position in the inventory to find an empty position. So we go for var inv position is equal to 0 is less than the inventory size, then inv position plus equals 1. And then pull the item ID of that position. So var inv item is equal to inventory inv position inv the item ID, and if it's an empty ID, then simply drop the item. So inventory in the empty inv position is equal to item ID. Let's go add item ID, add amount, and add HP. So distinguish them from enumerated values. And let's continue with the other attributes. So the amount is equal to add amount, and we add the HP. So inf position, the HP is equal to add HP. So it's found an empty position and it's added the item to it. Otherwise, if the position isn't empty, but is equal to the same item ID, so if inf item is equal to add item ID, they are the same item. So if the item data, the inventory position's ID, has a quantity of being stackable, so the items can stack. We want to do the same script we did before, but including a remainder. So let's check if it's less than the maximum value. So let's grab the amount of the new position. So inf item amount is equal to the inventory of the inf position. And basically we want to say if the add amount plus the inf item amount is less than the maximum, so the maximum is var inf item amount max is equal to item data of inf item dot stack. So if it's less than the maximum, then just simply add them together without a remainder. Inventory, the new item position, is inventory dot amount plus equals add amount. Return 0, so there isn't any remainder. Otherwise, let's shortcut to saying that since they come to be equal to or greater than the item maximum, let's set the maximum for that new position and then find the difference between what it was before to how it is now as the maximum value, and then subtract to find how much remainder there will be for an add amount. So the inventory position inf amount is equal to the maximum value, and an add amount is going to subtract the difference between the inf item amount max take the inf item amount. So the remainder is equal to what it was before, taking the difference it took to add to the maximum value for the new position. So after the for loop of iterating between every single position, return the amount that's left over, which is add amount. So when it finds an empty position, instead of giving away all the remainder that it has, if it's greater than the maximum value, then let's create a remainder. So the maximum value is add amount max is equal to the item data of the add item ID item.stack maximum. If the add amount is greater than add amount max, then do this. Otherwise, just add it as whole. Since it's greater than the maximum, let's copy and paste this. The new position's amount is equal to add amount max, and add amount subtract equals add amount max. So let's create obj item. This is going to hold the item ID, amount, and HP to be added to the inventory. So item ID is equal to the rock 2, its amount is equal to, let's say, over maximum, so 60, and so under the condition that it's pressed on, then we add it to the inventory using the function. So we go script item add, the item ID, the amount, and the HP. And we say amount is equal to the remainder of, and if amount is returned to be less than or equal to 0, then destroy this item. Let's put it into our game. We also want the item to have the same sprite as the item ID. Image index is equal to item ID, and its image speed is 0. let's set the sprite to SBR item. So when we add a new item, it goes through the entire inventory and adds up to the maximum stack before it moves on to the next stack or an empty position. And if it fills an empty position to its stack and still has a remainder, it will continue to do this. If there isn't any inventory spaces free or the stack is full, the remainder will be left on the item and it won't disappear. We can change the widths and the height of our inventory and it's still fully interactable. When we add the stacks, there is a remainder of 5 left in this item, although it's not drawn. Thanks a lot for watching my tutorial. I've spent so long trying to get this going, and so when you guys reply, make a comment, it's amazing. It's the best thing. So thanks a lot for watching. Please subscribe. Peace out.